Hi, and welcome back to U.S. History with me, Mr. Snyder, and today we are going to begin our talk about the Depression and the New Deal with discussion about the causes of the Depression. So your learning targets are to discuss the weaknesses in the economy in the 1920s, talk about why the stock market crashed, and talk about how the Great Depression got worse after that and then eventually spreads overseas. So this little picture is the business cycle. And the business cycle is what explains the periodic expansion and contraction of the nation's economy. So the growth trend over time is growing upward, but it's actually a succession of peaks and valleys, or peaks and troughs. A recession is when you are going down and firing people. And then a recovery up to the peak is when you are expanding and hiring people at your factory and people are spending more in the economy. In the 1920s, we had a long period of the expansion in the cycle. Republican presidents dominate at the polls in 1920 and 1924 and 1928 with Hoover. The stock market grows, consumption rises, and times are good in the United States. And the Republicans take a lot of credit for that. Herbert Hoover wins election in 1928, and he actually wants to work towards eliminating poverty in America. Ha ha, after what happens next. Farmers in rural areas are actually one of the earliest to feel the troubles early on. They buy equipment and take out more debt in order to take a gamble on World War I because their demand for their food is huge. But after the war, demand drops off steeply, leaving farmers with lots of debt and no way to pay it off. So they are in debt. They may get their farms foreclosed on, but they are the first to feel the effects of this economy. Another cause or weakness in the economy for the Great Depression to come is the uneven distribution of wealth. The gap widens between the rich and the poor. The reason for this is because wages during the 1920s only grow a little bit and production increases exponentially. So to give you an example, corporate profits during this time grow 65% and workers' wages only grow 8%. So to summarize it, the rich get richer while the poor only become less poor. And the wealthiest 1% of Americans, so think of all the people in America, and think of the 1% of the people who are the richest. They make as much money as the poorest 42% combined. Now, even though these people have a lot of money, they're not buying a lot with it. They're not buying enough to keep the company strong or to keep the economy strong. They're only buying, extravagantly what they need, but it's still not enough. Now, for a while, easy availability of credit hides this problem because Americans can make their purchases on credit, accumulate more debt, but then the bottom falls out because they're also buying stocks on credit. Speculation is not buying a stock in order to make a profit over time. It's buying it, and then as soon as it goes up a little bit, you sell it, and then you make a quick profit. And some people did this on credit. They bought stocks on credit, which is called buying on margin. In September of 1929, the prices begin to slip a little bit, and investors lose confidence in the market, which is all that was holding it up, was the confidence that the investors had in it. They stop buying and they start selling off their stocks over the next 2 months, and then on Black Tuesday, which is October 29th, 1929, the bottom falls out and investors race to pull their money out of the stock market. 16 million shares are sold and fortunes are wiped out in hours. So if people are dumping off their stocks, that means they're not worth anything. So nobody's going to buy them, so their value goes down. So if I originally bought a stock for $5 and I hold it, and I can't sell it, and now it's worth 3 cents, I just lost $4.97 of value in that stock. The money's gone. And so I sell the stock for 3 cents and I have nothing. Entire fortunes are wiped out in hours because of this stock market crash. So the Great Depression is the era from between 1929 to 1941. One of the first areas in our economy to feel the effects of this is our banks. We say banks fail or the banking system collapses because frightened people try to go and withdraw all their money. But banks don't just hold your money. They loan it out in order to make a profit on it through interest payments. And many banks fail or close at this point, and people lose the savings that they had in banks. There was no safety net there. Businesses also close at this point. They close down their factories, their stores, they lay off workers because nobody's buying anything. And it turns into a vicious downward cycle of the business cycle. Businesses lay off workers, so consumers spend less. So businesses lay off more workers, so consumers spend less. And it keeps going. Here's a little picture of the economic trends of the Great Depression. You can see the bank failures going up in blue, the business failures going up in green. Per capita means per person, how much each person brought home in a year and how much they're spending. We're saving less, we're bringing home less, we're spending less. And our gross national product is the value of everything that we are making in America, and that is going down as well. And it even gets worse because in order to try to correct the problem, President Hoover and Congress in 1930 passed the Hawley-Smoot Tariff, which is designed to protect American products from foreign competition because it raises the tariff so high that nobody can afford foreign goods. They have to buy goods in America. Well, this closes international markets because European countries do the same thing and pass their own tariffs against American goods in retaliation. And since it's also happening in Europe, Germany ceases their reparation payments, which means France and Britain cannot pay their debt payments to the United States, which means we have no more money coming in. And so here's kind of how it spreads globally. Our U.S. profits plummet. We have little or no money to invest abroad. European nations cannot pay off their war debts if we're not investing money in them. Their production plummets. They cannot afford to buy American goods, so our profits plummet even more, and it turns into a worldwide Great Depression. So that is the lesson on the causes of the Great Depression. Fill out those learning targets, and I will see you here back in class. Bye-bye.